Well, well, well. George Kittle returns, and so does the 49ers running game. We'll talk about it on today's Instant Reaction Podcast. What is good, everybody? Welcome to another Instant Reaction Podcast. I'm Rob Stats Guerrera alongside Levin Black. I have no idea why my video looks the way it does, but we are here and we are celebrating because your San Francisco 49ers figured out how to run the ball and ran it down the Atlanta Falcons' throat in a 20-10 victory.
First off, did this set an NFL record for fastest game? Because good Lord.
Yeah,
but
it was.
Two, this game was actually fun. It was a win that didn't come at a massive cost during the game where you're sitting there going, yeah, they're winning, but like this was a fun game. That's what I said to my wife. She was like, wow, they actually won. And I said, yeah, and it was actually a fun game.
It was fun. And you know what else is fun? A little celebratory drink. I'm going with Sam Adams Jack-O-Lantern.
Oh, we almost matched.
Oh,
I got the Oktoberfest, yeah.
Look, George Kittle didn't have a catch in the game.
Yeah.
If you had told me that he would not have had a catch in the game, I never would have believed that the 49ers would have won. But it's a bad day for the Christian McCaffrey doesn't have any burst, people. It's a bad day for Christian McCaffrey's cooked, huh? He looked pretty damn good running tonight for 129 yards on 24 carries. 5.4 yards per carry. Amazing. Christian McCaffrey got his burst back when they actually got some blocking in front of him.
Well, I do think, and they even said it during the game, that Christian McCaffrey is starting to see the field like he used to. Chris Collinsworth said that at one point. So I think a lot of things happen. I think maybe, and this is just speculation, but maybe the blocking that George Kittle provides is unique, and Christian McCaffrey had a hard time not anticipating that type of blocking, and he just kept running to spots that he thought would be the hole, but they weren't because it wasn't George Kittle doing the blocking.
Or maybe he actually got a chance to see what's in front of him. Whatever the reason is, it was beautiful watching them control the run. And look, Mac Jones only threw for 152 yards. He only threw it 26 times, which is way less than usual. You know, Atlanta's pass defense is really good. They had the best pass defense in the league coming in. The 49ers strategy was to run. They did successfully. Brian Robinson averaged 4 yards per carry. So that tells you how good the blocking was for the 49ers in this one. And we're sitting here 11, and there's no Bosa. There's no Warner. Now, Brock Purdy's missed, games left, right, and center. They actually said on the broadcast he has no timetable for a return, which is crazy because this morning they said he's probably going to be back next week with Ricky Pearsall, so who the hell knows? But they're 5-2. They're 5-2 right now. All 5 wins are NFC wins. 3 wins in the division. Let's go.
This is the thought I had as the game was finishing. Like after they got that 4th down stop and they were getting the ball back and game was over, the Niners that are older, they have signature wins. They've made to 2 Super Bowls. But for this defense, with all these young players, this is their signature win. This is them making their statement. You want to call it a signature win? You want to call it a statement win? I think either one works. This was that defense with Robert Salah as a defensive coordinator, without Nick Bosa, without Fred Warner, all these young players starting and playing significant roles, saying, this is who we are, this is what we're capable of. I don't expect this every week, but this is them showing, at the very least, our ceiling is we can shut down the best running back in football. Because Bijan Robinson, he ended up getting close to 100 total yards, but running the ball, he was not making a difference. Like, he wasn't terrible running the ball, but he was not making a difference. And the way the Falcons win is Bijan Robinson makes a difference.
He only ended up with 40 yards on 14 carries. That's 2.9 yards per carry. Now, he did have 52 yards receiving and a touchdown, so he still had, 92 total yards for the game. But I would have taken that if you told me that going in, 1 touchdown and 92 yards. Absolutely. We are going to get to your super chats. I see them. Thank you so much. We will get to those, I promise. I just wanted to get a couple of things there. And I thought that there were 2 key areas of this game. One was before the half. The 49ers got very lucky before the half.
Yeah.
They had a sack fumble that was turned into an incompletion that allowed them to stay in field goal range and get a field goal. And then the Falcons are carving the 49ers up down the field at the end of the game. And Michael Penix throws the ball away. And luckily, he lollipopped it out of bounds. And by the time the ball hit the ground, there was only 10 seconds left. It was intentional grounding. That killed the remaining 10 seconds. And the Falcons could not even attempt a field goal. So it gave the 49ers an opportunity to double them up. It was a massive, massive swing, that sequence right before the half.
Yeah, I mean, basically in the final, I want to say 6 minutes of the second half, they got 10 points, and then they got the ball back to start the second half.
Yes.
Like, that was huge. I think that did change the game. It changed the whole feel of the game. I think if the Falcons get a field goal there at the end of the half, they go into half feeling like, all right, it wasn't the best half, but we figured something out on that last drive, and they go in kind of confident. They didn't get that chance. I think that this game was huge for confidence building, but it was also huge because, I mean, they harped on it on the broadcast. This was the 49ers that we recognize. They haven't been winning this way. They haven't looked like themselves, but now they're showing, and as Collinsworth said, that the league better be taking notice that, hey, we can look like our old selves too.
174 rushing yards in the game on 39 attempts. This was like a Niners-Rams game. This was like a Shanahan special. Do me a favor, Levin. Start talking. I'm going to try and pop out and pop back in. This light thing is driving me absolutely crazy.
Very dark. Yeah. For people listening on the podcast, it looks like he doesn't have lights on, but he does. And I literally, before we went on, had him turn off his lights and turn them back on and mess with things. I don't know why that's not working, but this defense, look, they're not going to be able to do this every week. And that should not be the expectation. There are going to be weeks, in my opinion, that you see this defense get carved up. They're not going to be able to win this way all the time. The offense will have to be better in the future. Like, the offense got 20 points. There's going to be games that for them to win, the offense has to get it into the 30 points because the defense can't do this every week. But they've shown that they can do it some of the time, and I think that's very important.
I don't know why this light is not working, but it's driving me nuts. But the defense came up big when they needed to, and I think the sequence before halftime, Salah realized we got to blitz. We got to send guys at Penix. He was the weak link for them on offense. He didn't react well. The Niners were actually getting pressure. They got 2 sacks and 6 pressures in the first half of this game. It was amazing, and I loved it. And it was like, oh, yeah, this is what defense is supposed to be like. And I think Salah realized it. You saw on the final drive that the Falcons had, Salah was like, we're going at him. And they went at him consistently, and they were getting there. Bryce Huff was getting there. Tatum Bethune. How about Tatum Bethune have a game?
Yeah, I was going to say, like, defensively, Huff had a big game, and Bethune probably had the best game of any single defender. Like, I think he led the team in tackles. At least they said he had 10, and I assume that leads the team in tackles. I didn't glance at that as I was watching the game. But then he had, the pressure at the end of the game. He had the one where he hit Penix. He got a QB hit where he literally trucked Bijan Robinson and went right over him. He had a big game, but I think this was kind of kudos all around because it's not just him. Like, he looked like, okay, he could be a starter in this league. I'll say this. He looked better than Winters. There were a couple plays that Winters missed a tackle in space. Didn't see that out of Bethune. But then the defensive line, they were getting pressure up the middle a lot. And then there were multiple plays where obviously Huff just speed rushed a guy. He created one of the fumbles. He almost created a fumble on the final drive by the Falcons that ended up being called back. But then also for Robert Salah, the blitzes were well-timed and they were effective. It wasn't just, Bethune blitzed and it worked. It was multiple players, which tells you, okay, this is more on the defensive coordinator of timing things and getting the offense caught off guard, because there was Chase Lucas blitz. There was a Bethune blitz, I think twice, that he was able to do something with. And then there was another one. I don't remember the player they came on a blitz that was able to get a pressure. But I think Salah kind of flexed a little bit in this game too.
I think it was Siegel. They blitzed like everybody basically, and Atlanta they couldn't block it, and it got through and caused some disruption. Let's get to some super chats. Gabe Garoni says Shanahan for Coach of the Year. Kicker update. Welcome back, George. CMC has wheels. Kicker update. I tell you every week to count on Eddie Pinheiro to make more than 1.5 field goals, and guess what? He did it again. Cranking through a 55-yarder, hit another one. What is he, 15 for 15 now since coming 16. To the 49ers? 16. Even better. He's been phenomenal from a field goal perspective.
I was watching the Denver game prior to this game, and they showed Will Lutz, and he had 8 field goals, and I knew Pinheiro had like 14 coming in the game, because I remembered last week he had 12 at one point when they popped it up, and I was thinking, that's crazy. He was signed, 3 weeks into the season, and he has more field goals than a guy on a decent offense. And then they I don't know if you caught it, but they showed it prior to the last field goal when they popped up that he was 15 of 15 on the season. His 15 makes leads the NFL. So now it's 16 makes. He leads the league in field goals, man, which is both a good and bad thing. It's awesome for him because he's having an all-pro season. I mean, he's 16 for 16. You lead the league in field goals and you don't miss one. You're the leader in the clubhouse for all-pro, but it also shows one of the things that needs to improve on the team. They shouldn't have this many field goals.
I agree, but at least when they get them, he's making them. By the way, there's 1,300 people watching right now. Thank you so much. Please like this video, subscribe to the channel. If this is your first time joining us, thank you. We're live after every game. Usually my light is working way better than this. I have no idea what's going on. We'll get it figured out tomorrow. Edgar L., YouTube channel member, says, game ball to Christian McCaffrey, but Huff is very close. Now he needs to have company at the edge. Congrats, Niners. Continue to hear the Niners are sniffing around Trey Hendrickson harder than anybody else, although the Bengals just won, so that makes that matter now. Kind of moot. But you know what? Like, this is a performance tonight. When you hold Atlanta to 10 points, you hold Bijan Robinson as in check as anybody has held him this year, where you say, if you're trying, you're Kyle and you're knocking on Jed's door, you're like, look, see, we're good at, we just need a little more. Come on, let's make a move. If they were to get like a Bradley Chubb from Miami, who, my God, Mike McDaniel is not long for that job, as they got smoked today. A Bradley Chubb, something like that would be a very, very nice addition to this defense. You
missed an opportunity there for Borat. Very nice addition. I thought you were going there with the way you started that.
That was so
nice.
Borat.
How is that a terrible Borat?
We want people to watch the show, not be running scared from your terrible impressions. Antonio, save us, please. Thank you for the super chat. YouTube channel member. If you want to become a member, it's less than $3 a month. You can join up on your phone now. You get custom emojis, membership badge, priority comment response. If you can, we do appreciate it. Antonio says, huge win. 3 takeaways. Christian McCaffrey should be in MVP talks. Kyle is easily coach of the year. And if healthy, this would be a once-in-a-generation defense. I mean, it would be so much fun to watch this defense with those guys. Obviously, we're not going to get the chance to do that. I mean, the Kyle coach of the year stuff, how many more times do we have to say it? Like, come on. How many? He's out there with, there were no receivers out there today. It was Juwan Jennings with 5 broken ribs and Kendrick Bourne and Sky Moore. That's what we're piecing this thing together with. And he put up 20 points, and it could have been more because Demarcus Robinson dropped a pass that would have been worth 3 points, because if he catches it there in field goal range, Kyle is piecing this thing together with duct tape and mirrors.
And look, I'm going to address the elephant in the room because the comments have consistently been bringing it up, but we haven't touched on it yet because I thought I saw a super chat. So I've been trying to wait for the super chat to talk about it. But let's talk about it. One of the worst things that Kyle does is to continue throwing Brindle out there as the center. Well, that got taken out of his hands because Brindle got hurt, and Hennessy came in and looked better than him.
Well, they didn't miss a beat. I'll say that. I don't ever cheer anybody getting injured. I know you don't either. But it is possible. I'll say it like this. It's possible for them to improve with Matt Hennessy at center, regardless of the reason. I'm not cheering Jake Brendle's injury. I hope he's okay. But if we got to see a little more Matt Hennessy, it might not be the worst thing in the world.
I mean, who says no to Hennessy?
Very nice. Antonio says, I don't drink. So apparently Antonio, but he's going to chug some water. Cheers. Nick Ellert says Hennessy should start the rest of the year. You know, sometimes you get thrust into certain circumstances in life that you wouldn't normally choose. And I think clearly the 49ers would not choose to bench Jake Brendel. They obviously haven't. They've had every opportunity to do it and have chosen not to do it. But we'll see. Now, look, we also thought Connor Colby was going to be a big improvement over Ben Barch, and he's been terrible. So let's not get too fired up over one game, but we'll see. We'll see how that works out.
I mean, this is almost the signature of this regime. The signature of this regime is guys got pressed due to injury, and they shined. Brock Purdy, if nobody ever got hurt, probably would have never gotten a starting opportunity.
Agree.
Let's just call it. You want to say, oh, his talent would have shown eventually. No, they probably would have just gone out and gotten a Kirk Cousins or something like that, and he would have never gotten his opportunity. They wouldn't have turned the reins over to him, put it that way. So without injuries, you don't have Brock Purdy. Without injury to, I think it was Reuben Foster, you don't have Fred Warner emerge as a rookie, right? That's what pressed him, if memory serves, into playing. There's other examples like Jennings. If all these injuries had happened in years past, he probably wouldn't have been able to move up and become the third guy in this offense. You know what I mean? There are a lot of players on this team that have gotten opportunities because of injuries, and they've shined once they got those opportunities.
And we will see if Matt Hennessy can do the same. Keaton Badger says, hell of a job by Bethune in the defense tonight. I completely agree. They did what they needed to. Sometimes it was a little scary. They got some help before halftime with the grounding call, but you held the other team to 10 points. You held an NFL team with one of the best superstars in the league to 10 points. Damn good job, Robert Salah. No notes.
A team that just, absolutely decimated Buffalo.
Right.
It wasn't just that, they were able to run the ball left and right on Buffalo, and Buffalo couldn't stop it. But the Atlanta defense also did a good job against Josh Allen. Josh Allen didn't do much of anything in that game. So it was a big win kind of across the board. I want to see the offense get a little more touchdowns, but with the run game working the way that it did in this game, I'm a lot more confident right now than I think I have been in the last 3 or 4 weeks that they will get this going and the offense will start getting some 30-point games.
And why was the run game better? This is pretty obvious. George Kittle. Jeff Teeney has the tweet. With Kittle on the field, the Niners average 5.4 yards per carry. With Kittle off the field, 2 yards per carry. It is crazy to me that one player could have that much impact, but oh my God, does he. And he even had impact on the 49ers' last touchdown drive. It was 3rd and 13. And you're looking like, oh my God, we're going to kick a field goal. We're going to be white knuckling this thing at the end, right? Because then we got to see if the defense can make a stop. But on 3rd and 13, the Niners put the Falcons linebacker in a freaking blender. It was beautiful because you had McCaffrey in the slot and you had Kittle coming off the line on the other side of the formation. And the one linebacker in zone coverage had to choose which guy he was going to shade. And as soon as he looked over and shaded George Kittle a little bit, Mac Jones fired it into Christian McCaffrey. It was a wide open window. McCaffrey makes the catch, gains like 14 or 15 yards. First down, they scored a couple plays later. That play is not open if Jake Tonjes is running that tight end route, but it was George Kittle, and it just made the linebacker move that little bit to open the window for the first down.
Yeah, and the replay showed that from behind, like the quarterback's point of view, where the linebacker is sitting there and Jones is staring at Kittle, waiting for the linebacker to make his move, and the moment he bites, Mac Jones starts his windup to throw to Christian McCaffrey instead. So it was clearly a purposeful route design to force that linebacker to choose. I'm sure that's something that Shanahan saw in film review, that if we see this type of coverage, we can run these two routes and the linebacker will have to choose.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, like, this game did look like the 49ers of old. This was a flashback game. This is how they used to win games. They were out physical Atlanta. You saw Bethune running over Bijan Robinson, but they were physical throughout the game. You saw the offense physical. They were running over. You saw Trent Williams out in space getting a key block to set the edge, 10 yards away from where he started the play. Like, those are the things that we're used to seeing. That's the 49ers that we recognize. They're still things that they need to improve on. This was not a perfect game.
Mm-hmm.
But this was a game that I went, there's the team that I recognize.
Nice to see. Mike Darrow becomes a YouTube channel member. You get a fist pump. Speaker says first half possession should have run it 4 times, but last first half possession should have run it 4 times, but we won. I'm actually off the top of my head. I don't remember the last possession of the first half. Was that the stupid 3rd and 1 play to use check? Oh yeah, it was.
Yeah.
God, that was infuriating. Don't ever give him a carry ever. Ever. He should never get a carry, a rushing attempt. Just throw him on that little leak pass that they do where he's like 20 yards downfield. He's open all the time. Other than that, I don't ever want Kyle Juszczyk to touch the ball on a run.
You got 2 options when it's 3rd and 1. Your 2 options are run the ball with Christian McCaffrey or one of the running backs. I would be fine with a Brian Robinson run on 3rd and 1. Or you QB sneak it under the thought of, well, we can do it twice if we need to. Like, those are your options. Juszczyk should not ever get a carry. And that's what I texted you during the game.
Mm-hmm.
I am fine with him running a route, especially on a play action. I am not fine with him ever being a ball carrier.
CDZ909 says, anything's possible. Respect. The Matt Hennessy love is real. How about this from Nick Wagner? George Kittle on the field. Christian McCaffrey, 20 rushes for 126 yards and 2 touchdowns. George Kittle not on the field. Christian McCaffrey, 4 runs, 3 yards. That is insane. That is such a stark difference. But you know what? That's why I'm damn glad George Kittle is on the field again. Nathan Bobkick says, we might not have a quarterback controversy, but I'm wondering if Brock's return might be delayed while Mac's playing the way he is. Like, I don't know what to believe with Brock Purdy now, because like I said, in the morning it was Brock will probably be back next week with Pearsall, and then during the game they said Brock has no timetable for a return. It could be if Mac starts to play bad, then all of a sudden Brock is magically healed. We'll see, but at least we can worry about that after a win.
Yeah, we're here, so I'm just going to say it, and then we can move on and keep things nice and bright. But from the comments that the announcer said, because what they said Brock Purdy told them is that he hates it. He's never had an injury linger like this. And that if it moves sideways slightly the wrong way, he's right back to square one. That tells me he still has pain. So that worries me. And my thought was, this is the team that has said players don't need surgery multiple times. That turned out, yes, they did need surgery for it to get fixed. So that was my I don't like how that sounds. Is this a case where he should have had surgery like Joe Burrow for the same injury? And they just don't think so, but it's not healing.
We don't know. We'll have to find out. I said, I don't think we're ever going to get to a quarterback controversy because I don't think 2 guys are going to be healthy at the same time. The nice thing tonight, I don't think Mac Jones really had any close calls or anything scary. And part of that is because he didn't have to drop back 40 times in the game. He only had to drop back 26 times, but I didn't really see him limp around. I didn't see him get hit that much. I mean, I know he was sacked once for 2 yards, I believe, but other than that, this was not a scary Mac Jones game in terms of health, and that's awesome because God knows they need it.
I mean, this is a game that we saw what Mac Jones can do in a role of don't F it up. We don't need you to win. Don't F it up. You know what I mean? And he did well enough. He should have had an even better stat line, but Demarcus Robinson can't catch a damn football. Like that was a good deep ball. That was the type of deep ball you want to see there. I know it was underthrown, but it was underthrown in the way that gave the wide receiver the advantage.
True.
You know what I mean? So I think it was a good deep ball, and he absolutely should have caught it. But Mac Jones played basically a mistake-free. I wouldn't say completely mistake-free. They did point out on the broadcast on one of the third downs that he tried to get like a 15-yard completion, that the underneaths were wide open and that he could have easily gotten yards, or maybe it was a 2nd and 15 and he did that. There's no way it was a perfect, but it was the type of game he needed to play. They did not need him to move the ball down the field. They did not need him to try to make some crazy play. All they needed him to do is not turn the ball over and convert a couple third downs when it's an easy throw.
Christian McCaffrey led the team with 7 catches and 72 yards. Juwan Jennings had 4 catches for 31 yards, and Kendrick Bourne had 2 catches for 14 yards. Nobody else caught more than 1 pass for the 49ers. It was an efficient, just a get it done kind of a game. This is a backup quarterback game, quite honestly. Like, this is the type of game you expect to get out of your backup quarterback, but they moved the ball down the field for the most part. Even when they didn't score, they moved the ball relatively well, which helped them, control field position a little bit. And they got out of town with a win. And like Gabe says, interceptions, we don't need no stinking interceptions. Mm-hmm. Chase Lucas could have had a pick 6 on that 4th down stop when they stopped the Falcons. Hell of a play by him, first of all, to get in front of Drake London on that, because that whole play is just get Drake London in motion, get him out on the edge, and we'll rip a ball to the boundary for 2 yards. It's just a 2-yard play. And not only did he get there in time and break it up, he should have caught it. It literally went through his hands, and then it went through Drake London's hands, which tells you how hard Penix throws too, by the way. But they didn't get the pick, but they did get the pass breakup. Chase Lucas filling in for Upton Stout. How about it?
I did like what I saw out of Chase Lucas in this game. You had the blitz, which we saw some of that. It wasn't a preseason that we saw him have a successful blitz for the sack, or was it just?
Yeah, he was all over the place in the preseason.
I was going to say, I think it was preseason we actually saw it. I can't, my brain is failing me. I cannot remember if it was training camp and the reporters writing about how often Chase Lucas was blitzing and getting pressure, or if it was something we saw in preseason. But I liked what I saw out of him, and I liked what I saw out of him enough that I don't know that I would give Stout the job back. I want to see Lucas get another shot at it.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. We'll see how they decide to play that. I don't know how seriously Stout is hurt. Doesn't sound like it's too serious, because they thought there was a really good chance he might play. So that's good at least, but we'll see. Chris Waddell says, Kyle is coach of the year. Salah gone next year. Kittle 0 catches and still 1. Christian McCaffrey is 200% of our offense. 1 pass past 15 yards down the field is crazy. Look, Atlanta's defense is good. This was the best pass defense in the league. Do you want Mac Jones dropping back 40 times? I loved seeing the ground game. Great. Run the ball. It's less risky. It chews up clock. Like, yes, go for it. I'll take 39 carries in the game for 174 and 4.5 yards per clip.
I think there might be just a comma missing there. He's saying that Kittle had 0 catches. Christian McCaffrey had to do it all. They didn't even throw the ball down the field, and they still won. That's crazy.
Oh, well, maybe.
That's what I took it out. He's listing off all the things that are kind of crazy that happened that the Niners still won the game.
Listen, Chris, commas are important, okay? Perfect Blackness Senior says, did anyone else notice that Mac was under center all night? Shanahan must have seen something on tape. That's interesting. I'd like to go back and watch that. Honestly,
I can think of one play for sure that he was in shotgun, but that's the only play that comes to mind immediately. It was just the only reason why I noticed it is because I want to say it was like a 3rd and 3, and he was in shotgun, but Christian McCaffrey was right next to him, and I thought, well, maybe they're still going to run it here. And then they motioned him out wide, and I was like, oh, they're definitely passing.
I want to go back and watch that Perfect Blackness. That's a good thing for me to check out during the rewatch tomorrow. Thank you for bringing that up. By the way, you want to know how well the 49ers ran the ball tonight? Brian Robinson got 9 carries. When is the last time a backup running back for the 49ers got 9 carries in a game? Christian McCaffrey played the whole thing.
Yeah. And he ran the ball well. Like that.
Yeah.
I liked the outside run that he had early in the game. And I liked there was one run up the middle, I think in the second quarter, where it looked like it was going to be a no gain, but he made a cut and he ended up getting like 8 yards on it.
Yeah, he looked good, man. Christian McCaffrey looked good. You could sit there and say, oh, he doesn't have any burst or whatever. When he got the best blocking, he looked good. And we know this. They had a note at halftime. Christian McCaffrey had 60 yards between the tackles, which was the most he's had since 2022. And it was the most yards before contact he's averaged all season. Surprise, surprise. When you block it up for the man, he can still do it.
I was actually talking about Brian Robinson looked good.
Oh, well, Christian McCaffrey looked good.
Yes, they both looked. Christian McCaffrey looked like his old self, and Brian Robinson looked like, I'm glad he's there as the backup.
Joe says the season so far is the inverse of 2021. Totally unpredictable, but in a good way this time. Bang, bang. I'll sign for that. Whatever it takes, man. Cless Limpero, YouTube channel member, says, how about the special teams tonight? Now, they did have that one
return,
bad kick return, which is God, they have at least one per game, but they did make a lot of hard tackles. Nick Martin had a tackle on special teams. For the most part, they did the job on the returns. And of course, Pinheiro with the field goals was massive.
Yeah, I mean, it was a good, not great game for special teams. Put it that way. They had one play that was bad. They had a couple times where like they missed the first tackle, but then somebody else was right there. So it was a very good game on special teams. There was no mistakes on the returns. There was actually one play where the punt bounced at the 10-yard line that Sky Moore didn't take and was yelling at everybody to get away. And it's like, yeah, they were able to down it at the 4. That's unfortunate, but that's what you want. You want the guy not catching the ball inside the 10.
Yes, 100%. And you could tell Kyle was annoyed by that. He was asked about it this week. And I think Sky Moore was lucky that Jordan Watkins was inactive, because if he had another bad night, I think Jordan Watkins would have taken his spot. Sky Moore actually had a nice catch and run, too, for like 15 yards at one point. Mark Salah says, Robbie looked better in the dark. Mean but true. Jesse said, Jesse Cadena, shout out to you. Yeah, you get the fist pump for becoming a YouTube channel member. Thank you so much, Jesse. We appreciate that. Chris Waddell says, Levin interpreted the super chat right. My bad. Yeah. Get your comma usage up to date, Chris. Come on now.
I see what you're doing there, Rob. You're just trying to bleed them dry, get them to do another super chat.
Right. That was my, yeah, you didn't have to do a super chat for that, dude, but thank you. But yeah, you didn't have to do the super chat. There was something else I wanted to say, but I can't think of what it was now. So you know what? Let's do this instead. We'll get back to some of Kyle Shanahan's comments in the postgame presser in a second. But first, just want to say this note from Sleeper. We are killing it with the picks. 70% of our picks this year have been correct. I keep trying to tell everybody, just listen to what me and Michelle say on Fridays, and we will take care of you. And so far this season, we have been good with 70% of the picks. I want to look, let's see. Well, I was wrong on Kittle, because I thought Kittle was going to have a big game and he didn't do anything. So that's a bummer. But Christian McCaffrey, more than 46.5 receiving yards. Easy pick. Brian Robinson, more than 37.5 receiving yards. Yep, we got that. Michael Penix, less than 1.5 touchdowns. Michelle was right on that. Christian McCaffrey, more than 16.5 rushing yards. Yep, Michelle was right on that. I mean, we are crushing it with the picks. So if you haven't signed up for Sleeper yet, you absolutely need to do it. And if you use our code GSP, they'll give you a deposit match up to $100 on your first deposit. So why wouldn't you want that? And if you just sign up for Sleeper and don't even use our code GSP, you can still get a free $20 entry. So it's the perfect time to sign up. If you haven't done so, you should, because you can win up to 1,000 times your money. All you do is pick on stats like I named: touchdowns, passing yards, receiving yards, fantasy points, and more, and you could win big. Use our code GSP again. Terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper's terms of use for details. Currently operational in over 25 states. Check out Sleeper today. You could get a little better on your picks. Just saying.
How would you know?
Well, I didn't see you texting me any.
Well, no, it's not. You and Michelle do that on your show. But clearly not my year in fantasy, as you can see if you looked at the standings in your league.
That's true. You stink.
It's my worst year in probably a decade. Like all the guys that I was high on
didn't work out.
Not good.
By the way, this was obviously a good Sunday because the 49ers won. Can the Jacksonville Jaguars put up a fight against the Rams? Look, the 49ers, they're both 5-2. The Niners have the head-to-head win, so they're in first place in the NFC West after 7 games. But my God, what an absolute dud from the Jags. But it goes to show, you can't, it's not, there's no transitive property in the NFL, right? The 49ers lost to the Jags. The Rams beat the Jags, but then the 49ers beat the Rams. So it just doesn't work. It's a matchup league. It's a style league. I saw people tweeting well, the Rams beat the Jaguars and the 49ers didn't. What's different about those two games? Trying to dig on Brock Purdy. It's dude, it's not like that. It's such a matchup league. Okay. Levin puts this comment on the screen. Fritz Burnell says Rob with the goatee was like evil Spock. I don't even really have a goatee. I just have 5 o'clock shadow right now, but I'm in shadow. So it looks like I have more facial hair than I actually do.
I think he's talking about in the past. At least that's what I took it as. Okay. When you were trying to grow the facial hair in the off season, it was like evil Spock.
Kyle says, does this win make you feel more confident with the potential offensive weapons in waiting? So we got to see. I think Kittle was, he mentioned on the broadcast, he's got to play himself back into shape. He played 1/2 this year before getting hurt, and then he's been completely gone. So he's going to get in better shape. Pearsall maybe can come back next week, although he hasn't even been able to practice at all. So we got to see with him. He may take a couple weeks to ramp up. Sure would be nice, though. We still don't know anything about Brandon Ayuk, so I don't know how many weapons are actually going to be coming back.
Yeah, I'll say this. Am I more confident after this? Yes, but not really because of the offensive weapons that are in waiting. Excuse me. It's the run game got going, and the defense showed, all right, they're not just going to be pushed over against every opponent. I am sure there are going to be some games where it's just clear, look, they can't match up. They can't do anything here. It's not fair fight. I still think there will be games this season where they face a team that's just too good on offense and they can't do anything about it.
Yep. Yeah.
But they showed against most teams they are able to match up with them and shut them down. And then the run game got going. So am I more confident than I was a week ago? Absolutely. Because a week ago I was pretty confident they were not going to win this game.
Well, there you go. That's why they play the games. Andre says Watkins and Pearsall need to play enough with the journeyman wide receivers. Kittle, great blocker and improves the run game, but he needs to get more than 2 targets. I thought they were going to feature him more. Kyle loves to use him as a blocker, and maybe he thought that was like a soft way to work him in. I don't know. But whatever the case, at least it worked, right? At least we disagree with it, but it worked. You can't argue that. And to that point, how about this? Jeff Deeney again. Christian McCaffrey had 6 runs of 10+ yards all season. He had 7 runs of 10+ yards tonight. That is crazy. That is the difference that 85 makes on the ground. And at least they put him to good use. Not in the passing game, but clearly it helped in the ground game.
It was a great game running the ball. And you saw it from the first play. I think the first run was an 8-yard gain, and you're like, well, that looked different. I haven't seen that all year, where Christian McCaffrey's able to go up the gut for 8 yards, and he's not touched until 6 yards. So it was a game that, yeah, it does raise the bar for you a little bit. I think it does inspire confidence a little bit more in this team that, all right, maybe they aren't a team that's just going to look like crap, but maybe luck their way into the playoffs because the schedule is so easy.
They're halfway there. That's the thing. I think 10 wins in this NFC is probably going to be enough to get you in. And they got 5. Like, they're halfway there through 7 weeks of the season. And I know that some of the games coming up look a little scarier, right? That Giants game doesn't look like it's going to be a cakewalk, although holy crap, what happened to them in the fourth quarter? The Colts game the Colts are unstoppable right now. So some of those games look tougher, but they got 5 in the bank, man. 5 in the bank. You've played 7. You got what? How many games is that? I can't even do the friggin' math.
10 left.
10 left. Yeah, there you go. All you got to do is go 500. Go 500, and you're probably making the playoffs in the NFC.
Yeah, they are. If they don't make the playoffs, something crazy happened. You know what I mean? Because
it's been a lot crazy already, Levin.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, they're 5-2, playing a vast majority of the season with a backup quarterback. Like, they just won this game, still playing their backup quarterback and a bunch of wide receivers that aren't anything to write home about. Like, I texted you during the game that with the way Jennings is playing, I'm not sure he's going to get a deal that's much more than vet minimum at this point because he's not putting up numbers. And then I noticed twice in this game, both times that the team had a big loss on a run. I'm talking like 3+ yards in the backfield. It was because Jennings completely whiffed on his block. Like that last one on the last crucial drive that they ended up scoring the touchdown anyways.
That pitch
when they
play.
the pitch play where they tried to run outside. All Jennings needed to do was chip the defensive end. And instead, at the snap, he kind of stood flat-footed and didn't go forward, like to the right was where the defensive end was. And by the time he reacted, the defensive end had ahead his team and went right around him and wasn't affected. And that's who made the play on Christian McCaffrey. It was like all you had to do was actually move at the snap. The defensive end's not going to come to you. They're going to go up the field if you're not blocking them.
Yeah, that was the wide receiver blocks. Bourne and Jennings have not been good this year. If they can improve that, I think that would help the ground game too. Perfect Blackness says, trust me, Mac was under center mostly. I'd say 90% of the time. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying I didn't notice it while watching. He says, I'm surprised you didn't notice it. Clearly it was intentional. I wonder if Kyle was asked about that after the game. Fiery KFC says sacrifice this week was Kittle for Green and Brendel. Yeah, Bernardo Green got a toe injury, which, oh no, do we have 2 turf toes now? He didn't come back. That is a little scary because now it's, Chase Lucas and Darrell Luter, and that's, I don't know about that.
Luter did give up the big long completion there when Atlanta was driving to try to keep it a game.
He doesn't fill me with hope or confidence, I should say. One sportsman says Tatum's fan jersey 48, Warner loud and clear. Yeah, how cold was that? Did you see that? Tatum Bethune walks in wearing the old Fred Warner 48 jersey. Dude, that is a baller move.
Yeah. Do you think he got that jersey made, or do you think he asked Warner, let me borrow one to walk in with?
It's a good question. If I were him, I would say maybe he didn't, and then he wanted to surprise Fred as a tribute to him.
Maybe.
But yeah, I was like, you know what? This guy might have a good game tonight when I saw that. Sean Turner says, your picks are misleading. How many bets hit? Well, we made 8 picks, Michelle and I combined, for this week, and we hit on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of the 8. That's pretty good. Just saying. I know for some reason you love to hate on the picks, Sean. 6 of 8 picks is pretty good. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe that's not good. But I tend to think when you hit on 6 of 8, you're doing pretty well, especially when it comes to making picks. It's not easy to do.
If you win 75% of your bets, unless you're making some really dumb bets, you should be making money.
Exactly. Joe says, not trying to be dramatic, but that interception was purely on Jennings, and I kind of don't want to hear from him until he starts picking it up. You're right. I mean, look, and that happens because the 49ers throw over the middle so much. There's a lot of people there, so if the ball gets tipped up in the air, it's usually not going to hit the ground. But, Jennings, you got to catch that, man. There's nothing wrong with that throw. That was one of the ones, that's not on Mac. He's had 2 interceptions the last 2 weeks that you can't blame him for.
It's to the point that when Pearsall does come back, I'm not sure Jennings plays over Bourne. From what I'm seeing currently, I would probably play Bourne over Jennings. Now, I know Bourne runs a lot of the same things that Pearsall does, so that might factor into why Jennings gets to stay on the field, but he doesn't look like a starter guy. He does not look like a guy that I would be throwing even $5 million a year to right now.
And I know he's banged up, so you don't want to bang, but dude, if you're out there, you can be judged. That's what I always say. If you're too hurt to play, I get it, man. It's a brutal sport. But if you're saying I'm good enough to go, then when you go, you got to be good.
Teams in the offseason that are looking for a wide receiver aren't going to look and go, well, he didn't look good on film, but I'm going to chalk it all up to the injury and just trust and throw money at him. No.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a guy that was asking for reportedly $20 million a year from the 49ers on his extension.
The Niners
he's going to be lucky to get $10 million right now.
They handled that perfectly. Kudos to them. Rob D says the refs were hating on Demo, and somebody else said football, the commentators were too. He's got a lot of illegal contact penalties. I'll say that. He's very handsy.
It is what it is. He's not the only player. It's just for some reason this year they're calling it on him. But there's a lot of corners that are extremely physical. Like Seattle's been doing it for 20 years. Hey, we're just going to beat up the receivers and dare you to call a penalty on us every single play. Right? They don't do it as much now as they used to. It used to drive me insane because it was deliberate. That Richard Sherman and I could not remember his name. He was like the really big physical corner.
Brandon Browner.
Yeah, Brandon Browner. Like all you do is foul, and the refs aren't going to call it, but maybe once a game, so it's a net benefit. Like, get out of here with that crap. It used to drive me nuts. They're not as bad now, but there's a lot of players in the NFL that do that. They try to skirt the issues knowing that the refs don't want to call that. But for some reason this year, they're calling it every time Demo does it.
Sean Turner agrees with us. Delete the bleeping pitch play and all juice plays. Not all juice. The one leak play we can keep, Sean, because that one works still. But we're not going to keep any carries for Kyle Juszczyk. Kyle Tanny says this win is a 2-cigar night. Bethune filled in great bang, bang. How about this note from David Lombardi? Thank you, Kyle, for the comment. cool story of how the Niners are patching this together. When Curtis Robinson had to quickly sub in for Bethune, he didn't even have enough time to grab the helmet with the radio. So Robinson had to rely on a combination of hand signals and reading Robert Salah's lips. Okay. Holy crap.
I wondered about that when Bethune was out. They didn't mention that, hey, he's the guy that relaying calls to, and only one player was allowed that helmet. And the guy he's being replaced by would not be wearing that helmet normally, so he would have to change helmets, which is what Lombardi's talking about here. Like, he doesn't get to wear a helmet with a green dot and it's just not activated unless Bethune is off the field. No, Robinson has to change helmets if Bethune is off the field because he has to get one that has the communication equipment inside with the green dot. So I thought they made light of it. And when they showed Bethune come in, they showed him immediately relaying a call to the huddled up defense. And I thought, that's when I had that thought. I was like, why aren't they, like, they should be talking about how it's great that he's back in. Like the broadcast camera people were trying to get Collinsworth to talk about it because they zoomed in on Bethune in the huddle.
They zoomed in on him?
Yeah, they zoomed. Yeah.
They zoomed right in.
Yeah.
Chris Waddell says Salah with a beard looked tougher. Jaguars coach is shaking even more now. By the way, extend Pinheiro, please. Hashtag kicker update. Moody on Thursday was annoying. Here's the thing, Chris. You don't have to keep track of anything Jake Moody does. If he makes
you don't have to root against him. I was happy he
did. Yeah, whatever. He's irrelevant. That's the magic of divorce. He can live his life. It doesn't matter. You've got a guy that's, as long as Pinheiro is making his kicks, you're fine. And that's what he has done. So don't worry about that. By the way, in terms of the Bethune and all that, shout out to Robert Saleh for getting things fixed, man. Because last week when Fred went down, we saw coverage busts left, right, and center. And we did not see any in this game. There was maybe one play late where Mooney got open deep, but it wasn't a coverage bust. He just got open. But we didn't see guys, we're double team this guy and another guy's running open. We didn't see any of that. They fixed all of that. So shout out Robert Saleh. I thought he had a bad week last week. He fixed everything this week. A+, Robert Saleh.
Take this with a major grain of salt, because I'm not saying the defense is better. But maybe not having Fred Warner eliminated a crutch for Salah. And the reason why he wasn't dialing up all these blitzes and trying to disguise blitzes to create pressure after Bosa went down was because he had Fred Warner. And Fred Warner pretty much takes away the middle of the field from the line of scrimmage to 15 yards down the field on every single play. So you're wanting him to drop back in coverage every single time. And then it's hard to disguise if, that guy's going to be dropping back. It's hard to disguise somebody else doing a blitz. But without Warner, he knows there's no way this team is going to keep it up in the secondary. We have to get to the quarterback. We cannot give the quarterback the chance to just scan and find the open guy. So we're going to gamble. We're going to take chances by blitzing a guy and creating an open spot in our defense.
And look, is that going to work as well as it did this week every week? I would say no. You're not going to face Michael Penix every week, right? You're going to face some tougher quarterbacks. Matthew Stafford's coming up in a couple of weeks. CJ Stroud next week. We'll see. But at least for one night, it absolutely worked. And I know that they can't really get pressure reliably if they don't blitz. So you have to do it. And yeah, you might leave your coverage out to dry, but you can't just hope that a quarterback throws to the wrong guy back. You have to do something to get pressure. And they did tonight. And it worked for the most part. Alex B says, trade for edge support and pray that one of the safeties breaks out, keep the corners healthy, and let's watch those young kids be hungry and hit. This could be a very special group in time. I'll say this, Levin. When those safeties come down, man, on the run, Malik Mustafa blasted Algiers at one point, and he took him out of the game. He was injured. Now, I don't know if he came back or not. I can't remember. But they come down with so much force when they attack the running backs. It is scary between Siegel and Malik Mustafa.
Yeah, well, there was also Jair Brown does it well. He blew up. Who was it? It was a dump off into the flat there on, I think, their second to last drive. And Jair Brown just ran up and he trucked the guy without even going down himself. You know what I mean? Like, and I remember thinking, I was like, ooh, who is that? And then he stood up and I was like, oh, yeah, Jair Brown does have the ability to hit pretty hard. He has some weaknesses too, but the safeties, I feel like they all kind of have a similar mold right now, other than Pinnock. You have Siegel, you have Mustafa, you have Jair Brown. They are all great in the run game and very weak in the pass game.
Yeah.
To differing degrees. Siegel is horrendous in the pass game, but he's almost like an extra linebacker when he's in there. So
Yeah.
There's benefits.
It was not. Yeah, he's learning. Let's just say he's learning in the pass game. We'll see if he can turn it around. Vish Bell says DeMarcus Robinson getting $10 million and dropping passes is bad.
Yeah.
I'm so disappointed with what I've seen from him. In the preseason and stuff, I thought he looked really good. I thought he would be a solid contributor. He's been a net negative. That's just a reality. He's been a net negative. He's made more bad plays than good plays this season to this point.
Yeah. I mean, certainly could change. But yeah, you got to catch the ball. If you're not going to get very many targets, the targets you do get, you better freaking catch the ball. Like Brian Thomas of Jacksonville has major drop issues this year.
Mm-hmm.
He can get away with it because he's getting open and getting 7 catches in the game. You know, like drops are critical, but when you're dropping the ball on your one target or dropping one of your 2 targets in the game, it becomes untenable at some point. Not at this point, but at some point, DeMarcus Robinson will stop seeing the field if he keeps it up.
Yeah. I mean, I think part of it is if the Niners had their full complement of wide receivers, it'd be interesting to see who they would put back out on the field. J. Cruz 49er says these young defenders are popping dudes. You could hear every hit. Some of the hits were pretty big. How about this? Cam Inman. First of all, Tatum Bethune is at the postgame presser wearing the old Fred Warner jersey. And Fred Warner not only came today, he surprised the 49ers by showing up at a Saturday meeting. Bethune said he watched film with us. He didn't give us any pointers. He allowed us to learn, and he just showed he's still here, that he cares, and it's not all about him. He also went on to say everything that we do this season is dedicated to Fred Warner. I mean, that's awesome. It's cool. I'm glad. Like, I wish we had Fred, but clearly he's doing everything he can to try and help.
It's almost getting to the point where I'm expecting a story that somebody stood on the desk and did a speech of win one for the Gipper.
Good. Win one for Fredman. Whatever it takes.
Yeah, exactly. If it gets them in the right mental headspace, whatever works.
How about this from Tatum Bethune? Talking about the no Bosa and Warner chatter. Bethune said, me personally, I saw all of it. As a defense, we didn't talk about it. I felt a certain way. I was emotional. I cried before the game. I was thanking God for the opportunity. Look, I'm sure these guys hear all of that. And none of that is meant to disrespect them, by the way. It's just that Fred Warner and Nick Bosa are really freaking good. And so guess what? Yeah, the defense is going to suffer when they're not there. It's not meant to insult them. Now, if the 49ers take it as an insult and get extra motivated, great. But I don't think that people are talking about it as a way to disparage the 49ers.
What do you expect? Right. Oh, hey, these 2 all-pros went down and they're being replaced by guys who have never done anything. Now, they haven't had the opportunity, but they're being replaced by guys who haven't done anything and were lowly drafted. Mm-hmm. So that's, of course, going to be the chatter until you change their opinions. And that would have been my message to him, that this is your opportunity to change your narrative. You want to be a 7th-round pick that nobody ever thinks about? You can make that happen. If you want to be a great player who blossoms into a starting caliber linebacker, you can also make that happen. And it's on you to go out there and decide which narrative is going to stick.
And Kyle showed everybody film of Fred Warner's first game. And I thought it was an interesting stroke by Kyle Shanahan, because essentially what he's saying is, look, Fred Warner became Fred Warner, but he didn't start out that way, right? And you could become what Fred, like, it's a motivational thing, right? Like, this is where this guy who's so good now, this is where he started, in the same place you're in right now. And that made sense to me. Like, I understand why Kyle did that. More from Tatum Bethune. I went to Malik Mustafa's house and watched film and texted him about play calls and route concepts. It's new to me. I want to be Tatum Bethune. Fred's done so much on this defense. I want to do the same thing. Like, they have the whole vibe with the 49ers this year is like, it almost reminds me of like a college team. Like, there is a hunger with a lot of the guys on this team, especially the young guys, that I don't know that they've had the past couple of years because they've been such a veteran team.
I think the last couple of years they had hunger. The hunger was, we want a Super Bowl title. And that's a different level of hunger that doesn't necessarily drive you all season long than I want to be somebody in this league. You know what I mean? A lot of the players, not all, a lot of the players in the past, who they were in the league and what their reputation and memories of them were going to be were already set. We already knew who George Kittle was. We already knew who Deebo Samuel was. We already knew who Trent Williams was. These guys, we don't know yet. We don't know what their narrative is going to be. We don't know if Bethune is going to be the guy that ends up becoming the Bowman to Fred Warner's Patrick Willis. We don't know. I doubt it, but we don't know. And I think that's a different level of hunger when you're just trying to prove, hey, I belong on the field. I should be on the field every down.
And I love to see it. You can tell just by watching. You can tell it shows up consistently. I was trying to scan X while you were talking to see, did anybody see any major injuries coming out of this one? I know Renardo Green, obviously, but I didn't see any talk about injuries, which is obviously they got the win. That's number one. Now who's hurt? That's what I always check to, but I didn't see anything terribly scary. So hooray.
I saw only one that concerned me, but it was, I want to say early in the third. It might even been late in the second quarter. And he obviously played the rest of the game. But I did see one play that George Kittle made a crackback block in a pile. And then after, I saw him waving his hand at the sideline to get their attention. And then it wasn't a full limp, but it wasn't his normal walk either to get to the sideline. So I had wondered, did he just tweak an ankle or what? But then he was back in like 3 plays later or something like that. And he played pretty much an entire half after that. But you never know if afterwards he comes out and it's a questionable thing all week.
Mike UA and Vish Bell and others have said Brendel, obviously that injury. Yeah, we talked about that a little bit before. A lot of people are just ripping Jake Brendel in the comments. Addition by subtraction. He's terrible. Again, we all thought that about Ben Barch when Ben Barch took over for Aaron Banks last year. And then when Barch got hurt, Connor Colby came in and we were like, oh, thank God. Let's just slow down. I
will say, Connor Colby probably had the best play of the game and certainly the best illegal play of the game. Because I watched that play and I thought, I doubted myself because I thought he lifted him and pulled him in the end zone. I didn't think you could do that. You can push somebody in the end zone, but you can't lift them and carry them into the end zone. But they didn't call it. The broadcast didn't bring it up at all.
Yes, they did.
They brought it up. Well, I'm talking about in the moment. And so when they took the extra point, I was like, okay, maybe they changed that rule or something. I'm just not aware. And then like 2 minutes later, they brought it up during the Falcons' next drive that it should have been called. And I was like, oh, I was right. I shouldn't have doubted myself. I'm pretty smart.
Here's the thing. They're never going to call that in real time. They can't tell unless it's like blatant, like a one-on-one blatantly obvious. When there's a scrum, they're never going to call that play. So whatever.
I mean, that was kind of blatantly obvious. You had him bear hugging the running back and pulling and lifting him to the point at one point, Christian McCaffrey didn't have any body part touching the ground.
I was not surprised they didn't call it. Do I think the Falcons got screwed? Absolutely not.
Oh, right. He also had a reception in the game.
Yeah, he did, because that play where Mac Jones got hit.
It may be a not important play to everybody else, but for him, it means forever he's in a box score because offensive linemen don't show up in a box score. But for the rest of his life, he will have a game he can go look at and say, there's my name in an NFL box score.
Greg S., YouTube channel member for 20 months. Thank you so much, Greg. Says Shanahan and Salah stay together like Reed and Spags. Don't know if that's going to happen, but I'm going to enjoy it while it's here. I'll say that. I will enjoy it to the fullest. Sean Turner says M's or Blue Jays just beat LA. Didn't go well for my Mariners tonight, but they got another chance tomorrow to win Game 7 of the ALCS. I had the dual screens. I figured out how to do it. I had the Niners on the big TV. I had the baseball game on my phone. We were watching both. You know, look, I don't want to get greedy, all right? 1 out of 2 wins on a night is still a good sports night. We'll see if the Mariners can get there tomorrow night. But for now, this is a 49ers show. We are celebrating the
One question.
Okay.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how
Mhm.
crushed will you be if they lose?
It will hurt, but I also going into this year had the lowest expectations for the Mariners that I've ever had, which is telling you something because they only have 5 playoff appearances in their entire 48-year history. So, you know, I
That's
would be
why I was asking. It's kind of like the. I mean, there's not really a great example for the 49ers recently, but that's why I was asking is that the expectations were so low, and they've also never really given you this type of season before. You know what I mean? Like they don't do stuff in the playoffs. They almost never make the playoffs to begin with. So
right.
this is like the Browns making the NFC Championship game and it being tied with 3 minutes to go and then they lose. Are the Browns fans like, I'm 10 out of 10 disappointed? No, they're like, this was a season I never expected. I've never gotten to enjoy in my life before.
It hurts a little more because they were up 2-0 in the ALCS going back home for 3, but whatever. This is not a baseball show. Yeah,
Yeah.
we'll see how that all shakes out tomorrow night. But good for the 49ers. 5th victory of the year. I was hoping they would get a little help from some of the other teams in the NFC. Like, can we get the Eagles to lose? Unfortunately, they didn't. But look, you got the
Cardinals lost.
yeah. What else is new? You got the Bucks at 5-1. You got the Packers at 4-1-1 because of that stupid tie. And then you've got the Niners, Rams, and Eagles at 5-2. And that's where we are right now in the NFC. I mean, this is especially with the injuries. You couldn't ask for a better start through 7 games than what the 49ers have given you.
Even if you told me the team will have 100% health, what start are you satisfied with? I would have said 5-2. With 100% health, nobody got injured at all. I would have said 5-2 because at 4-3, I would be a little disappointed with how easy the schedule was. But at 5-2, I would feel like if you say 6-1 because you'd be disappointed at 5-2, you're being a homer. Like that would have been my take if you're guaranteeing me health at the beginning of the season.
By the way, you want to know what's hilarious? So the Mariners will play in Game 7 of the ALCS tomorrow night. The Seattle Seahawks also play on Monday Night Football tomorrow night. Who in Seattle is going to be watching the Seahawks play?
Are they? I don't actually. It's not a home game, is it?
It is.
For both?
No. Seattle. The Mariners are in Toronto.
Okay, that's what I thought. The Mariners were in Toronto. I wasn't actually 100% sure on Monday Night Football, but that would be crazy.
Tickets for the Seahawks game tickets are now down to $70 and trending down, apparently.
Yikes.
Yeah. Well, I understand it, but
yeah,
anyway.
I mean, if I had I don't have a baseball team really anymore, but if I had a team that I was a big fan of and they were in a conference championship, yeah, I'd be watching that over. For you, it's different. This is your career. So you had to watch the 49ers.
Oh, sorry, I'm just seeing this comment from George Kittle. This is crazy. When they showed Fred Warner on the big screen, the Niners had to go to a silent count because the crowd just went nuts. That is crazy. Hell yeah, faithful.
Yeah, they showed him on the big screen. Benjamin Bear, I don't know if he texted you, but he actually texted me, one of our listeners who I met at a game last year. He texted me a picture of him and was like, yeah, they just put him on TV. And he was like, yeah, they put him on the big screen too. I didn't know if they put him on TV.
And now they're even bigger screens because the Niners got those new 4K screens. So there you go. But that's just it was cool to see Fred there. I figured he would be there, especially home game. I don't know if he's going to go on the road or not. They don't want him to.
I don't. Judging by how thick that cast was, I don't see him on a plane anytime soon.
Yeah, it was wrapped up. George Kittle apologized to fantasy football owners, but said, I just wanted, who cares?
You know what next week is, though?
What?
Next week is to take the over on George Kittle because it's
revenge game for Nico.
No, it's tight end day. National tight end day.
Yeah, and how about NBC trying to start national running back?
That cracked me up with their logo on it.
It's like trying to give yourself a nickname. Come on, that is lame.
Well, I think they did say that Christian McCaffrey and Bijan Robinson
great.
Thought it was a good idea and agreed, let's make this game the reason to make it this date. But yeah.
Kittle said that Shanahan told the team on Saturday he wanted 40 rushing attempts tonight. Kyle gets into that mindset every once in a while. Usually it's against the Rams, but he gets into that mindset where it's like, screw it, we're just going to run the ball a billion times. And they did tonight with 39 rushing attempts.
We call it the Jimmy G mindset.
Right. It's basically what it is. And when it works,
we're only going to pass if we have to.
Right. And when you run for, what was it, 5.4 yards per carry like Christian McCaffrey did, I mean, we had the explosive run number more. I think they had 7 runs of 10+ yards tonight, which was more than they had all season to this point. So when it's working, do it.
And by the way, before we go, I just thought this was a cool stat, and I was annoyed watching football during the day. They popped up on the screen. I forget which team it was. They were like, they said the only team in the league with 3 players that had 300+ receiving yards. And I was like, I'm pretty sure Bourne does, because he just had back-to-back 140+ yard games. I know Pearsall does, and I know Christian McCaffrey does. So I went and looked, and yeah, some dummy just looked at wide receivers because they assumed a running back wouldn't be there. So the Niners must be one of only 2 teams in the league with 3 players at 300+ yards.
In their defense, I mean, Christian McCaffrey is. I saw there was
he's over 500 on the season now, if I'm not mistaken.
I mean, he could go 1,000 this year. In a year where he has no burst and he's cooked, he's going to go for 1,000. I'm never going to let people live that down. Amazing how he was able to do it tonight. Somehow, right? He must have found the fountain of youth last week.
I didn't say anything about his burst, but he did not look the same in previous weeks. He was not. I mean, you talked about it and you agreed that, yeah, there were times when he was missing a wide open hole to run in the back of his lineman. Something was off.
Well, that was weird. Yes, but to me, that wasn't like, oh, Christian McCaffrey's not good anymore. It was just, I don't know why he was doing that, but he didn't have to do it tonight. Kyle Tanney says Mac Jones is obviously the best backup quarterback in the NFL. He's getting it done. He is getting, like,
not Russell Wilson. Come on.
We don't need to, like, I saw people like talking, because in the early game there were some crazy performances or not early game, but this week there were some crazy performances by some young quarterbacks, Jackson Dart, Bo Nix, and somebody was like, is Brock Purdy even a top 15 quarterback at this point? Like, dude, I don't care about the rankings anymore. I don't care if Mac Jones is the best backup quarterback. I don't care if you think Brock Purdy is not top. I don't care. I just want wins. And we got 5 and 7 games, baby. Let's be happy about it.
I get why that point was made, because there are a lot of young quarterbacks, first, second-year quarterbacks that look really good right now. But yeah, it's just not there's no point in having that conversation right now. But I mean, Jackson Dart looked good until he threw the back-breaking interception that cost them the game.
I keep saying Eagles fans would much rather have the trophy in the trophy case than the universal opinion that Jalen Hurts is a top 10 quarterback. Like, one does not have to do with the other, clearly, because the Eagles have a Super Bowl trophy.
We can shut the book on Justin Fields now, Michelle. I think that one's over with.
And a haymaker before the show. Yeah. Not good. Mac Jones is the best quarterback in that class.
I will say the one positive thing that has happened for Justin Fields this year is he hasn't fumbled as much. So he's actually gotten his career fumbles below his career starts. He's got 49 starts and 47 fumbles.
There you go. All right, that's going to do it for this edition of the show. There's over 1,700 people watching. Thank you so much. Like this video. Subscribe to the channel. Tell a friend. We're live every single weekday. If this is your first time checking us out, tomorrow we go through the game drive by drive and break down the good, bad, and the ugly. Please join us for that. I promise if you check us out again, you will come back for more. Please, please, please give us a chance. Did you see we were just named the top 49ers podcast?
I did see that. It helped you texted it to me. So I saw it because
don't ruin it, Levin.
Well, you had to. I was going to say you had to text it to me because I'm not on social media anymore. And so you were able to give it to me on the only social media I'm still on, which is LinkedIn. But yes, I did see that. And in order to keep that spot, you got to get your lighting fixed.
I know. It's driving me nuts. The light is right there. Like, it's the same light. It's in the same spot. I don't know. Normally it looks much better, I promise you, but at least you don't have to stare at my ugly mug all night. So And yes, Iceman 0072 Vish will be here tomorrow. So we will do that. Thank you, everybody. Again, like this video, subscribe to the channel. Go damn Niners, 5-2. Taking on Houston next week. Get ready, D'Amico. We're coming for you.